So who is this more so for? A person with just limited debt, a person with tons of debt? Who do you feel like this is a perfect play for?
Well, I tell you what, you could have a small amount of debt or you could have tons of debt. So here is an example of a client with multiple properties. Now, we can handle like $80,000 worth of debt or 80 million. Doesn't matter. We just plug it all in. So here's a client with multiple properties. And this is what happened, what she was doing before we met her. On property number one, which is at 4.25% interest rate after 251 months, okay? Paid this property down by $150,000, but it cost $183,000 in interest to do it. And as you can see here, this one at 6%, the bank really wants 115.838% of what she borrowed in the form of interest. So in 157 months, she's only paid this loan down by $32,500, but it costs $96,000 in interest to do that, Chris. So why did she not pay attention to the interest cost? And here's why. Because she bought the properties right and she's renting them outright and she's cash flowing like crazy. She's done everything that real estate investors teach, except real estate investors do not teach, pay attention to the interest cost on these loans. So if we take a look at all the interest costs on these loans, okay? So if we pay attention to all the interest costs on these loans, then we can add that up. And over the time that we add up the interest and the principal, Chris, it comes to $1,179,038.45 in total that she's paid out. Now, here's my question. When you receive your rent money, how much of that money is yours? All of it. Now, how much of it do you want to keep? That's the next question. Okay? Because out of the $1,179,000 she received in rent, most of it went to interest because she's only paid down her principal. This is her potential equity, $415,000. But it cost her $763,000 in interest paid out to get $415,000 in potential equity. Wow. So now here's how much she still owes on the property, Chris. $1,292,000. And the bank wants, even now, from this point on, $651,000 in interest. By using this methodology, she's going to gain equity at 5 times the regular rate and pay a lot less interest. So instead of paying the bank $651,000 in interest, she's only going to pay $236,000 using the same methodology, right, as the P.I.L.L method, and be done in 7.6 years. Interest savings, $419,991.07. So, Chris, if the bank receives that $419,000, what are they going to do with it?
You're going to reinvest. I don't want to take it too deep, Don, but I want to know.
Yeah.
There's people out here that believe, paying that interest is going to be a good tax write-off. What do you say to those people thinking about stuff like that?
Well, listen, that is a very good question. And so when I do a seminar, Chris, I have in my pocket $1 in one hand and 27 cents in the other. You got to pay $1 in interest to get 27 cents back from the government. Do you know that I really do believe that banking lobbies Congress so that you can get that tax write-off on your interest? Because the banking industry gets the whole dollar and the government gives you back 27 cents on your taxes. The banks receive the whole dollar. They're happy. Okay. So here's what we're saying about that. Every year you have a mortgage and you qualify. Not everybody qualifies, but every year you have a mortgage and you qualify for your tax breaks, you're going to get it. You just won't get it for 30 years. You're going to get it for an average of 7 years. But when you pay off the house, when you pay off the loan, doggone it, Chris, you lose the 27 cents tax break. But you get to keep the dollar to invest any way you want. How does that sound?
That sounds like a smarter and better move for sure.
Chris, you are amazing.
100%. Now, my psychic ability is telling me that somebody in their brain is wondering, how much does it cost to become a client? Is it month to month? Is it yearly? How does that part work, Don?
Listen, that is an excellent question. All right. So if we take a look at this client who has $1 million in property, okay, over $1 million in property, and I have another client that has $80,000 in student loans. Do you think those two clients pay the same thing for this service?
I would hope so.
Yeah. So here's what we're talking about, Chris. We're going to take each client because we have over 20 price points so that we can make sure that whatever needs they have, what they pay for this program is going to be commensurate with how much interest they can save, which actually pays for the program. All right. So I've had some people say, well, Don, whatever price you told me, so it's X amount. It says, is there something you can do with that price? I said, well, here's what we're doing. Before you met me, you paid a lot of money in interest. Okay. So before you met me, right, you paid, in this case, $763,000 in interest just to get $415,000 in principal paid. Now I'm going to show you how to pay $236,000 in interest to pay off 1.2 million and save 419,000. I just want a small percentage of the 419,000. So here's what I'm talking about. The money that pays for this service is money you would have paid in interest. It's not extra money. It's not different money. It's money you would have paid anyhow. So pay us the little bit of money of the interest saved. You keep the rest and everybody's happy. So I'm not looking for any extra money. I'm just looking for a small piece of the money you would have paid the bank anyhow. Chris, does that help?
It definitely does. So it's a custom program for every potential person. So they would have to get a consultation.
Yes.
Figure out what strategy or which plan works best. They'll get a quote, I guess, at that point, and then they can move forward. Is that how it works?
That's exactly how it works. And what they'll do is they'll go to ice10k.com or right above our heads, click the link, and there's a button that says get a savings and earnings report. Follow the directions. Fill out the financial form once you get access to it. And then someone from my staff will give you a call, confirm the numbers, and then set up a consultation. You'll know the month, day, and year you'll be debt free. You'll know how much interest you could save, and you'll know what the fee is because it's going to be a very small percentage of the interest saved. Chris, you are right on point here.
Well, glad I can contribute and ask some questions that may be burning in people's brains. I know most of them are burning in my brain, and hopefully, people take advantage of this because, this is definitely a game changer. Thanks again, Don.
You're so welcome, Chris.
But Don has some valuable information that can contribute to the quality of a person's life, and it only costs you a few dollars. It's his book. Why not get that?
I'm going to go through the P.I.L.L method myself with some of my investment properties. So I'm going to link up with Don, and then I'm going to sit down with him, show him my investment portfolio, and see how I can eliminate interest.